blessings and welcome forward to Reasons Right Here at Your Life. I'm your host, the Great Owl, and we've got Brother Ramon Singh, we've got the Mystic Bob, and we've got Ramon's brother Nichols, right? So we just want to give thanks for the experience of us all being here, you know what I mean? It's an awesome experience, and through your life, it's not all the time, we're literally here at the tree, so it's good, and to have Nick here as well.
That's good.
So, Brother Ramon, what is today's particular offering in this moment? Because, so far the reason has been so good all day. What is the offering currently?
Wise as a serpent and humble as a dove.
Man, love that one there.
Love.
Love that one there, man.
Big piece or Instagram.
Love that one there, brother.
Yes, sir.
No.
Wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. No, this is one of the metaphors I think most accredited to Songs of Solomon, right? If I'm not mistaken, because sometimes verbatim, I'm not always on that, but I'm assuming it's from that. But how do we be wise as a serpent? Because it must be a good question, and harmless as a dove. Is it that knowledge should be round and understanding should be square? That's how I would understand it. So maybe it's a geometric perceptivity I have when it comes to that. But that's the only way I can frame it, because knowledge being round and understanding being square, to me, it's like that. The wisdom being the eternal, that roundness, right? But you can frame it in the harmless outlook and outcome by actualizing right behaviors upon the principle, right? Which is the seed of wisdom. So, genuinely, I'm thinking to be wise, meaning to garner lots of knowledge, methodology, functionality, and yet not be arrogant, puffed up, destructive, or forceful. Anyone's take on these assessment?
Serpent, wise like a serpent, but can you be wise more than a serpent?
Serpent.
Right, and serpent is identified as an animal tempered by snake. Yeah. So when you want to be wise like a serpent, you have to know how serpent behave, how serpent think. It's a part of snake nature, right? True. If you want to be humble to take out the other one, it's dove, like a fish. It's dolphin. Dolphin sound like dolphin to me.
Yes.
Because dolphin is the most positive and humble and optimistic mind. So if you want to be everything and knowing, you have to be humble at the same time. You have to humble and lower that ego, and keep that clone light open like a wise. And the wise is coming from your third eye perception. You can resonate that symbol, Seala.
Beautiful expressions of literally wisdom in a functional form, right, that does not make the process of garnering the knowledge self-destructive. Because let's look at an ideation that can bring clarity to it. The God concept, God consciousness, God perception. That is one, because there's God consciousness, which is, I guess, a perception of being in sync with the highest moral decorum and functionality. There's the God self then, right? I guess seeing self as God, right? That is where a lot of individuals might then ascribe the divine function to its microcosm, the self, or to another portion of the whole spectrum, maybe the cosmos, right, the macro, but still have it as a subjugate of a higher self, or have it as equated as higher self. And so there is the differentials of wisdom, one that brings a humility to say there's something more than us. Not a form of knowledge applied that says I am all that there is, therefore I think and I do as thou wilt. That's one of the philosophies that's garden under such the absolutism of self-perception. So the wise is the serpent. Bob says examine behavior, the way in which the snake behaves.
And how them think, how them feel, and they don't move. And if you can calm like a snake, you control that snake. If you're not calm, the snake will control you. Because you have to be calm. It's nature. So it's a lot of knowledge.
It's like, it will be seen as a deceptivity, right? That which is unpredictable. Let's remove the word deceptive and put the unpredictable. So the serpent would represent the unpredictable nature of garnering information and finding out things about things, right? Because you didn't know this previously. So now you have access to something that is not every day. How do you deal with it now? Because then there is the tension. You got the fangs now. You got the venomous nature.
Yeah,
right?
the cobia.
So you can coil around something and become so possessed of it, like a serpent. You will not let it go because you possess it.
Right.
But we can be like the dolphin, which is a difference according to Bob then, to want to save even a non, because if you fall into the water as a non-aquatic animal, right? The dolphins act as a lifeguard, a lifesaver for non-aquatic animals, i.e. creatures that can't breathe underwater. I'm not suggesting humans only, animals who are injured and can't swim, right? The dolphins act as a lifesaver, right? So to use the dolphin to represent the harmless nature of perception, that the functionality of perception, that you found out a lot of things. Maybe you found out that you can use your mind a certain way.
Right.
And ethics and moral is going to show you that you should use it to be for the benefit of humanity, not to get 10,000 women in your bed or to garner a bank balance of $15 billion.
Okay.
So that is the serpent now being deceptive, coiling around that which is possessed and it's possessed of, right? And having the fangs up to say, if you come near, I'm out. So as we relate to the essence of the serpent, representing both the possessive nature of the accruing of knowledge and power, and using the dolphin as Bob used, like the dove, to symbolize universal peace, love, harmony, and the caring. But Bob, you're also telling me now that you have another correlation to how the serpent behaves and the
spinal cord behave, the serpent behave, how your nervous system behave. That's how man has been studied about standing and how snake up cobra standing and balance their nervous system from the lower spine up the higher spine. And when some people say them feet up and claw upon your back and stimulate in front of your back your brain and your third eye, it stimulates its own nature. But that's how you know you have serpent inside of we. And do you think serpent know more than you know serpent?
Sure.
Why is like a serpent? You think serpent know you more than you know serpent?
Yes. So the serpent, if we were to analyze its behavior to accrue this notion of it being wise,
right,
we'd have to look at how it hunts, right?
Yeah.
And it hunts in a calculation, and I think this is where the wisdom is said to come in. Because it has to be highly calculous, right? To be able to assess its prey down to the micron beats of its heart. Because that's what I've heard is the essence of its predatory nature. It is so silent and so strong with its olfactory. By scent, it transfers scent vibration into that knowing of being able to feel the pulses of the heart rate of the prey. And why is this important? Well, if you're going to run away at 25 miles per hour from me, then I can assess how much I need to exert within a short space of time, depending on the distance trajectory, to know how best to approach this hunt, right?
Sure.
So then we could suggest that within this is high calculation.
Yes, I.
And so that's where we'd get them to say that the wisdom of the serpent is high calculation.
Yeah,
what Bob is also alluding to about what is said in the East about the mystic of the cobra now as being the king of the serpent, that they can stand 6 feet high on the strength of their energy. Literally, upright, 6 feet. And they say that there's no other snake that can stand that high, right? So that means that it is a control over the dynamic of its own being versus just a natural ability. Because if you go back to the Bible, though, I'm not trying to mix things. I'm going to put it all in context. Go back to the Bible, it says, like a serpent on your belly you shall crawl. I think the serpent is trying to get back upright, and I think that is a sheer power of will. That's why they said like the serpent, but you have to humble like the dove.
Oh,
the serpent represents the sheer will.
Thank you.
That the Lord has said, be on your belly and crawl. But the king of the cobra stand up 6 feet on its tail. It's the power of sheer will.
Yeah, because Like even with the serpent, right? The Bible, even when the serpent was introduced into the Bible, it was introduced bringing in knowledge, you know. And I know what we are thinking, you know, in terms of the new school of thought and all that, new religions and things. But even in ancient time, as you know, snakes were considered a blessing, you know, like to kill a snake is almost like a crime. Like
Yeah, it is. True.
And to be honest, even when I was in St. Lucia, they were killing out snakes to a point where St. Lucia is the rarest snake in the world, you know, right? And they have an island dedicated to trying to bring it back, right?
Nice.
When I was over there, a guy was telling me that serpents are very wise for real, because as you were saying with the hunting, they plant themselves in a position that the prey is going to pass, and without you even knowing, you're gone, right? It's stinging and you poison and that's it, right? And stuff. So in terms of the wisdom now, he's just saying that a serpent, now being as wise as a serpent, right? So it's true, when you start acquiring knowledge, wisdom and understanding, you can get inflated and arrogant. Very true, right? And then that is why you see them go a step further and say wise men don't speak, or they speak very little.
They speak mindful like the snake.
So that is the dove part coming out now. Because when you start getting knowledge and understanding, you go get huff up and puff up, right? It's after you make a couple mistakes, when you start acquire that knowledge now, you start to realize that you have to control the power.
Right.
And that is why, you know, when Jesus says, suffer not the little children to come unto me, it's right there the most natural wisdom is, you know. They are not tainted by any social or religious belief systems. They are the only one, I think, that are allowed to be fully honest. You know, I might let you take that on it, you know.
You know what I really point to, because it have a medical part of it. Because in India, people want cobra to paw, and cobra give you poison to clear your eye blind. Cobra venom give you something to clear the eyes in time. And two, snake, serpent know how to die.
And look,
they can die by themselves and come about them business.
And even Ramon got bit by the wasp today. So even that can be brought in because
brought a point.
As you say with the snake venom, it can be used, some people use it for longevity, you know. Snake venom, you know. And
antibiotic,
it was just your time to get stung by a wasp, you know. What are the odds of that? You have to look on that too, you know. So you didn't need that, you know. How's your hand? It's swollen or anything?
It's slightly swollen, yes.
Just a little. Okay.
And two, and then
I was bit several times by wasp, to be honest, right here at your life, just before we move out. And one of the things I noticed, right, the first time I was bit by a wasp, I was very, very nervous, because I had some form of a psychosomatic reaction, because it's what I was told, and active, I guess, imagination at times. I got a swelling. But while it was swelling instantly on me, right, I never forget Altia, the altruist, she said to me, you needed that to calm down. So why are you resisting it? That's why it's swelling. And I was already bit, so I didn't want to get inflamed, so I left it alone. And I noticed that it did dissipate, and I had my little painful moment. Every moment since then that I was bit, and I'm not over-exaggerating, a little bubble, a little impression from beneath the skin would come up, and a little bubble filled with this yellow-like fluid would store at top of that. And I would just pop that, and that would be the venom.
What?
Yes. Whatever it is that they inject or has caused to happen in the immediate area, a nice, like almost like a boil would come up instantly, and it would have a yellow-like substance in it.
Zin?
And that would pop, and that was it. Never sold again. That pop and the scar disappeared. So after that, I'm never afraid of what ever again. Every time they bite me, all that's gonna happen is that little circle is gonna happen with a little yellow fluid, slightly translucent, and I'll pop it, and that's it. So I don't know if it's something they inject in the body, or it's because of the corruption of the tissues or the energies around the area. Or what my body is telling me right now, it actually, whatever the foreign matter is, it has cardinal it off, right? That's what it's just saying it to me now. That's what it's doing. It's naturally, it's like creating a barrier. Like you coat something in starch, to make it go through the system better. And the body is very smart at doing this. It's part of the thing about wisdom again to that. Is it just from the mind? Because then this next thing I wanted to ask a lot of people who ascribe wisdom to a knowledge of experience and the explicable nature of experience, right? So they say if you can quantify through this explicable nature what life is, you're wise. But I'm thinking wisdom has to go to listening to the living, breathing organism and knowing of the actual transfer of fact, knowing reason and purpose. If you are scarred, if you are being cut unknown, without this intelligent, wise being sending the signals that are to be understood, interpreted correctly to your senses, for you to understand that it's not a huge gashing, slashing wound, it's a scratch. But to also be wise enough through perceptivity to the same message being sent to the body, the same scratch, the same impact also reminds you of the environment you're in, and that might be it was poison ivy that scratched you, and hence the knowing sent to the psychomatic of the body to say, if it is poison ivy, you will have an allergic reaction. So in the same moment of acknowledging that you've been scratched, sending a conscious message, you need immediately to go to the hospital or seek some kind of preventative methodology, or some would say medical attention.
Yeah.
Nick, you are medical. Your take on that the being is sentient enough to literally, when it's been abrased, right, to consciously send a signal to the psyche. If we are clear enough to understand, that is also wisdom, in humility to know, listen to your body, and be able to be present to know this happened in an area where 2 days ago there was a chemical spill. This could be more than a slight scratch. This could be the difference between a degeneration that lasts a few weeks or something that could end your life within a few months.
True.
Unnoticed. You take on stuff like that.
And on that point too, serpent, usually people use serpent power to protect themselves. They can see negative and positive in their action. Serpent to the behavior. So serpent able to stimulate their body what negative activity they're doing in their mind, and they can pick it up. And they don't know because they don't know nothing about serpent or nothing. People who just a normal criminal bastard, dirty lifestyle, you know. That is why the serpent power is also stimulate thought, behavioristic, and also tell you what are the archetypes created from behind your mind. So
the archetypes, those are possibly some of the dominant archetypes, the willpower
right,
archetype.
because you remember the serpent in the other team, the serpent, when it reaches the core structure, it tells you what you be and what structure you are.
The knowledge of self again we're talking about, or the self being understood through not just the wisdom, but the humility now we're talking, to interpret the message that your being is sending to you. Brother Ramon, your take on that. That is an expression of the wiseness of the serpent, but yet the humility of the dove to be able to listen to your being.
I recall a story from the Bible, history. Abraham, when he was passing through Egypt with his wife, and he knew that his wife is very beautiful, and the kings of Egypt and the high status people would lust after his wife because he's a good looking woman. So in order to save his life and the family and the plan of God, he had to be wise as a serpent. He have to say, I am her brother, which was true.
Yeah.
You know?
In spirit.
Yeah.
No, because is his half sister for true.
Yeah, for true.
For true.
For true.
Because it's the
And
blood,
they
the
married.
same blood,
Yeah.
the same blood.
Because they
everything
know
same
that
blood.
if-
Threw me off a bit right there,
Yeah,
His
but
blood.
if he said that
Yeah.
he is her husband, they will kill him.
Yeah. and-
So they
yeah.
can get her.
Yeah.
But if he said that I am her brother,
Yeah.
That's-
then they will treat him like a king
Yeah.
to get her favor.
Yeah.
So he must be wise, but
Why?
still humble.
Shoot
Yeah,
them.
man.
Because
Yeah,
them
but
give
shoot them.
goats, them give sheep, cow,
Yeah.
land, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, them take care of the brother
Yeah.
very well.
Just to woo his sister.
Yeah.
And so we're sure this is not just an appeal to a personal fear complex, right? So this is because some people say, well, it all well and good, it benefited him. But we all know what the end result of the story is, even though I didn't know this part about the half brother, half sister. Because sometimes, like I said, the anthropology needs to be a little stronger on certain issues. But what I did find out was that later on, the king had found out that
Right.
that she was not his sister in the essence. of
Only. Not his sister only.
yeah, in what the essence of what a sister is to us,
True.
but that they were in fact husband and wife.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And he did some serious things, like told them to take this stuff, get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
I give you a piece of land. Am I still on point where you can take this stuff and go
True.
and inhabit this land, right? So that would then come back to say, okay, so it might not just be screwed about the benefits coming to an individual, but that it was truly an exercise of wisdom, considering like you're going to a country very lustful. I would say modesty would be the dove. The dove of the consciousness would be modesty, right? Or put it in the masculine context. If you go into a place where aggrandizement is the way of being, then a subtle humility and modesty of character and personage would be the expression of the dove. That would be where the wisdom has taught you well enough to articulate yourself in a manner that you are not belittled by your presentation. Because there's some things that some people feel that if you should appear beneath the pinnacle you set for yourself, then you are really not worthy of this so-called pinnacle, this self-acceptance, this praise. So wisdom would say, yeah, you know, I am brilliant, I am this, but I'm not so brilliant as to be unable to notice that these be barbarians, these be hating free thinkers. So right now, me barbarian too. Me wandering barbarian. You see? Because to me now, the humility is to say this. If you find yourself being so wise as to be on a ship filled with a set of unwise mates for company, it is best to be very sparing with your tongue of pedantic knowledge, because it will get you your throat slit. So being humble as that dove amongst those less endowed intellects would see you safely to shore. But here the reverse too. If you find yourself being not so intellectually endowed in a far voyage amongst the most brilliant amongst men, and your self-importance wants to tell you maybe you should articulate your lowliness and your drive for the high place more succinctly and assertively, you might lose your tongue.
Yeah.
So
No, true talk.
It's
so
true,
wisdom would
because-
suggest of the dove now to hold your ignorant tongue amongst these brilliant orifices,
That is
because
why- that is
they
why-
will cut you down.
That is why you have to rise your own. That is make a very important point, because serpent is more like how much you can rise above other serpents who look at you, you know, how much you more wise than other serpents, you know. But it's not about wise. Once you liberate your own serpent, you become oneness. There's no competition.
That's where the humility comes in.
Yeah, that is why people mislead the serpent power, because they think it's a singularity.
True that.
Because serpent one, no?
At the same time,
No.
you know, say, it's a harsh world we are living in.
Yep.
Yeah,
You see
bro.
me? And we have to tread through earth wisely,
True that.
but still humble and meek.
Mm.
If you know, say you respect one another. You know?
Yeah.
A respect for respect. Real recognize real.
True that.
Real
True
talk.
that.
Really talk.
That's
It's still a lesson I learn, you know. Ramon is a good teacher upon that one, you know.
Majestic.
Trust me, man. Yeah.
No man, trust
Yeah,
me,
man.
glad you said that,
Yeah,
my
man, the
God.
respect that
Yeah.
everybody need for respect everybody.
Yes.
Real talk, man. Real talk.
And stop fighting the people energy and working there.
Alright. You have this pastor in Africa, you know. Him say him want truly know the heart of his congregation. You know what him do? Dress up like a madman
Thank you.
and lie down on a cardboard in
It's
front of the
real.
church. Right before church start, you know. And everybody walk past him and say, excuse me, can I have... And everybody just now look upon him, no nothing. You know, him a beggar outside, you know. Nobody, no give him no time, no nothing. Nobody, not even one person from the congregation help this madman outside. And I saw him walk in the church, go right upon the altar in the madman suit. And everybody said, who is this madman? Until him take off him hat and reveal himself. Everybody shock
That's a
and
shame.
start bawl
Yes.
and say,
Wildlife
it's like,
Serpent.
I him only stand up outside. You know?
So they felt so
Yeah.
ashamed.
And the pastor vex and say, if me there in my suit and tie,
Yes.
when you would have respect me, but me there in some ragged tear up clothes were dirty, and he not even say hello, God bless you. Nothing.
Man, not even a God bless you.
Not even a God bless you.
You see that revelation, brother? That is such a thing that even right here on this channel, right? I think 3 years ago we did 2 videos. One was on mercy and one was on
I
gratitude.
just look at my water, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
boy.
mercy and gratitude. So I was saying from my what you said about how it is when we look at the manifestation of the virtue of wisdom applied to experience, like the humility. I've noticed that one of the least watched videos on the Seala Media channel is a video on mercy and on gratitude. And I've seen many people make many comments because I know many people have learned from the exchange of information that we have presented here. And sometimes people make slight comments underneath. And one of the things that have always come to my soul, I often say, when you assess your output, your outlook, see its impact in others. And I think a lot of people, when they listen to this channel, they get some things, but some of the other things they do not get, because to get that, you literally have to be a humble person. And that is why they never understood the video on mercy and the video on gratitude, because a lot of people aren't merciful and a lot of people are ungrateful. They do not appreciate that people would take moments of their lives to share, from the most embarrassing to the most encouraging of moments, that is a difference of just the will to be the serpent. This is the dove of the reasoning that Brother Ramon could have chosen to use his life to be strictly about his financial outcome.
True.
Myself and Brother Bob, you can't be around the Mystic Bob for 10 minutes and not hear him say money isn't life, right? So I'm thinking that some of the greatest truths of life is missed by individuals, just like the greater values. Because just like the people missing the pastor, they look for truth and love to fit a form. And to be grateful, that creates graciousness, is so rare. And to be merciful, to create understanding, is so rare. And so we go for the serpent of the moment. Self-identity, self-proclamation. I should be heard. My truth, my truth, my truth, my truth. And we do not see the greater truth, which is the wisdom and the humility of the dove. Because the serpent, doing as thou wilt, has already taught us to be selfish and self-centered, fixes the maxim of self-perception in selfishness, while the humility of the dove roots us in selflessness, like the dolphin.
Right.
But at the same time, to be selfless without self-knowing is also untenable. So we should be wise and yet humble in the roundness of knowledge and the squareness of application.
And that is why I'm going to give time what Ramon said, the
Like that.
perfect point.
Blessing.
You have to give time what Ramon said, oh, a man archetype as a madman and see who's real in the society. Even best friend no real. And they prove if I'm broke, what you're going to be like, you know? But you're not saying broke or rich. You just give it the trick-analogy, the trick the society, to show what is realness, you know? And that helped them to protect themselves while madmen live longer because they would be non-identified. People don't care, and madmen have more life and more energy because they just understand what they're thinking. And they know that the government program the people. So, that's a good enlightenment point, Ramon. You know? And that is why do not be afraid to live the more braver. Because there's a way to help you to show a different hidden, to trick them around and show what is real, you know? And you know it is real inside of you.
The experience of the wisdom of the serpent and the humility of the dove. How you apply it to your life is indicative of the kind of experiences you're going to have. So maybe one of the things is you are not garnering enough of the information, or you have garnered enough of it, but you're not applying it with enough humbleness
And
fairness as well.
I'll just say a little one thing there as well, because with the whole wisdom thing, I don't think it's anything you can rush.
Yes.
And I don't think there are things you can do to increase it, you know, or it can't be rushed. It can't be rushed, because if you look on it, you know, if you remember when you were a child, just to use some big examples that you can see the gross difference in it. You look at a child, they have no restraint, they don't know any danger or anything like that. If you leave a child, they walk off a cliff.
Yes.
If you leave a child, they walk into a lion's den.
Yes. And they'll walk out.
But they might fall a couple times, or they might get bitten by a dog or something. They start gaining wisdom.
Yes.
And them learn, say, okay, if I walk up that thing, I go drop and lick my head. They didn't die, grateful, so they learned the lesson.
Experience, eh?
Similar thing, the more intricate things in life, you only go learn them through experience and time. Can't rush it.
True.
But what you can do is pay attention to each moment. Like when things are happening, listen. If you see something look a little weird, say, hold on, what's going on here, sir? Ask some more questions along the way.
Yes.
And I think that is a way to increase wisdom naturally. Because I have done some serious searching and some serious reading.
Yes.
And yes, it made me understand things a little better, much better, but still couldn't be rushed. At the end of the day, I didn't learn what I needed to learn until the right time. You know? So it's not really a race or anything. It's just, you're just trying to create a solid communication between you and the creator. Does that me think is wisdom, you know?
True.
And love. Oh God. I don't know if I got next video upon love again, right? But love, that's one whole thing, man. Love.
And the truth is, when they talk about what they learn about wisdom, because you have some people to pray that before, that some of them have wisdom already.
Yeah.
Or some spirit or incarnate.
Yeah.
They remember this
Yeah.
life and going to do perfect and flip it in the next coin.
You will see a child.
And then share the other knowledge and not for the child them tell me no time they did before me can master, but the memory block.
Yeah.
The memory block.
Yeah, and even a child, sometimes a child is more mature than an adult. You know?
Can't you
see
because
some
the soul are
children-
old.
You see some children, you say, no man, and that child is serious about life. Serious.
They can answer that.
Wisdom applied. It's just like literally, if it's a functionality, then literally through observation or the inherent observation, then children do make mistakes too, right? So literally they have the information too. What happens is that there is a futility sometimes in the wisdom of a child. And I'll explain it this way. As a child, I saw clairvoyantly into the future. Glimpses of eternity I saw.
Telepathy.
But I can tell you something about it, what happens. As a child, if you think your glimpses should be the end result of your experience, then you're going to be in trouble. Because you're going to standardize and project your thoughts into reality. And hence only pull back a fractionalization of reality as experience. So a child a lot of times, being very wise, looks at the universe without experience, looks at it from maybe an incarnate perspective of what it was in its previous culture, of what it was in its previous cycle of itself.
Previous life, right.
So now, when that child actualizes that wisdom, it might be the kind of transcendental wisdom, Nick, Ramon, that you're going to have to go up into the temples and study 40 years to get. But will it be of value to a 12-year-old kid trying to function in a postmodernist context? So would that be the wisdom that would be of true value, right? So the wisdom of experience now is that I always say, show me that 9-year-old genius at 25, show me what that 25-year-old is saying, not just in information or the informatics, but have you had a childhood? Do you got a girlfriend? Do you go to the park? Do you know the scent of flowers? Do not tell me it's Latin clinical scientific denotation. Tell me of the personal things that comes through the aesthetic, not the utility. So the wisdom of a child sometimes lacks experience, but we can codify it as cosmic, as something that is of the greater experience. It is not just for living an experience, but it's for sense of well-being. A child has a touch of heaven in them, but we are on earth. So because we're on earth, the wisdom of a child sometimes is taken up as a great allegory, as a great vision of the eternal. But we still have to live this vision. And so this is where the serpent meets the dove now. You can't just have that brilliant world. You're gonna have to translate and make sure it don't get lost in translation through humility. Because if you try to live for it, you're gonna isolate yourself. But choosing the humility of the dove to defer your great vision to being a 12-year-old kid, to still being a 25-year-old that likes to go out and go swimming on the weekend just for the sake of feeling the water on your skin, not because it becomes a social butterfly experience, but because it feels good on your skin. Things that we do for the purpose of being versus to fulfill a mandate in being. Wisdom, wise as the serpent, to have knowledge of the archetypes as Bob is talking about, humble as the dove, to see what Brother Ramon is talking about, or in terms of that wisdom being definitely manifest, creates better harmonious human beings, giving God thanks, understanding our place in this earth, and living a life that would be an inspiration to others. So as we apply our wisdom like the serpent, and as the dove or as the dolphin, as what Bob says, as Nick reminds us, to respect and to love and to observe like a child, I'm just saying, when I look at that wisdom of the serpent and the dove, I'm seeing that it is a necessary balance.
Yeah.
So I couldn't beat the greatest minds out there. I agree with them.
It's a oneness. It's a universal thing.
We know from a long time, we know the elders them and Rastafari elders. One of the saying what them always say to young children, humble and wise. You see me? Humble and wise, youth. Humble yourself. Wise up. You see me? Yes, I. Humble and wise.
Yeah.
Rasta know what go on long.
Humble and wise.
Yes,
Same thing,
Humble and wise.
Humble and
Yes,
Humble and wise, that's the right thing.
Zin.
And the right other way, humble, first and wise.
Yes, I.
That's the process.
Oh, them take out the esoteric thing and just put it in a straight word.
Yes, I.
Because all of it is coming back to the examination. Like I would say to you, the wisdom of the greatest thinkers that I've come to understand is the wisdom of our great-grandfathers, great-grandmothers, grandmothers, uncles, aunties, cousins, friends along the path. It is the internally speaking through us. So wisdom, wise as the serpent, humble as the dove, continue on your path of being wise individuals, but being humble. You express and experience that wisdom, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, so look out for those who are not as smart as you. And if you are on the other side of the smarts, remember that some people are not as physical as you. So they, even though they talk so much, they can't really even do a little move past you on the football field or, on the cricket pitch or even on the basketball court. Their genius motor dynamic skills don't work as yours because you're moving on the high symmetry. That is wisdom applied, You know what I mean? So just remember blessings.
And then I'm going to make a point, so when you have knowledge, then you don't need wisdom, because you're more than the wisdom. So the knowledge is the humbleness, because you know the knowledge. So when you know, you're humble. Because you know what I want, you don't have to tell nothing. Awareness. It's all about awareness. Awareness, you have to be humble to get that awareness.
So,
So until next time, humbling into the awareness, humble and wise. Blessings.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a great owl. Brother Ramon Singh,
perfect love.
Perfect Love, Mystic Bob, Brother Nick, Ramon's brother right here.
John.
Tree of life.
Cool, man. Blessings.
Honorable. Until next time. Be that wise, humble gift. Yeah,
Yeah.